Hello and welcome. Thank you for joining us for this webinar celebrating 100 years, honoring our history and looking to our future. As we begin, I would like to acknowledge that I am speaking to you from Toronto, the traditional territory of many nations, including the Mississaugas of the Credit, the Anishinaabe, the Chippewa, the Haudenosaunee, and the Wendat people, and now home to many diverse First Nations, Inuit, and Métis people. Toronto is covered by Treaty 13, signed with the Mississaugas of the Credit, as well as the Williams Treaties, signed with several Mississaugas and Chippewa bands. I also acknowledge the failure to honor the responsibilities and intent of these treaties, both historically and in the present day. I reflect on what this means for us here today, on what the treaties were intended to be, and how we might make that more fully realized in the here and now. So a few housekeeping notes before we begin. The webinar is being recorded and will be sent directly to your emails once available. We've also recently learned that the chat function can be disruptive to those who use screen readers, so we've disabled that function, but we will have a Q&A session at the end of the webinar, so we encourage you to use the Q&A function found at the bottom toolbar to submit your questions, and any comments you want to pass along can be submitted through there too. We'll do our best to get through as many as we can. And with that, I will introduce myself first. I'm Ashley Kwan, and I am the Foundation's Special Project Coordinator. I am so happy to be here with you all today. Thank you for joining us as we continue to celebrate the United Church of Canada's 100th anniversary, a historic milestone marking a century of faith, community, and service. We have a fantastic group of speakers today who will be sharing exciting initiatives happening in the church in honor of the Centennial. So thank you, Sarah Charters, Alan Lai, and Fraser, for sharing your time to be here with us all today. So I will start and introduce our first speaker. Starting off, I'll introduce Sarah Charters, who will be sharing about the Centennial Legacy Campaign. Sarah is a foundation president and first began her work in the charitable sector as a fundraiser and has worked for various health charities. Since 2007, she has worked at the foundation and enjoys the interaction with individuals and congregations passionate about the work of the church. Sarah is a member and choir at Kingston Road United Church. Thank you so much, Sarah. I shall pass things off to you.
Thank you, Ashley. Hello, everyone. It is so good to be here with you today to talk about something that's quickly becoming, one of my favorite topics to talk about in the church, which is the Centennial Legacy Campaign. So just as I get going, for those folks who maybe aren't so familiar with the foundation, we were created almost 23 years ago to think about the future of the church and to serve the whole church. And so as we created the strategic plan that is just coming towards the end of its life cycle, we wanted to be in alignment with the General Council Office and the general direction of the church, but we also recognize that the foundation has a very specific spot in that. And so our purpose is to foster deep spirituality, bold discipleship, and daring justice by attracting and deploying financial resources. It's our particular area of expertise within the church. We provide services to the entire church. We work with individuals on creating sustainable, long-term gifts for ministries that they care most about. We provide grants to United Church organizations, communities of faith, scholars, and leaders who are doing professional development. And we work with United Church organizations on how best to steward long-term funds and assets so that ministry can thrive far into the future. And so, that really has been our focus over these past 23 years, creating and sustaining ministry now and far into the future, and trying to think flexibly about the various ways that we can do that, knowing that the church as it is today will not be the church as it is 10 years from now. And one of the things that we've been very aware of over the existence of the foundation is that a strong church has strong communities of faith. And so we've tried to create and think really thoughtfully about different ways of supporting congregations, from facilitating gifts of stocks and mutual funds to introductions to investment managers that use United Church values and offer reduced fees, to a variety of granting programs that adapt to the current context. And so when we were thinking about the centennial and how we might mark the occasion, we had a realization. The foundation has been entrusted with over 500 different funds set up by dedicated United Church people over the last 100 years. And many of those funds were created by gifts in wills, people wanting to be sure that their congregation and mission and service continued to benefit from their support even after they passed away. People whose faith called them to take a leap, to know that even if their congregation ceased to exist, their gifts would still be used to carry on ministry. People who wanted to ensure that those ministries that they cared deeply about, gave their time, gave their expertise, and their money to during their lifetime, would continue to have their financial support even when they couldn't be there physically. That is a really powerful statement of faith. So the Centennial offers us an opportunity to celebrate the generosity of the past 100 years and to lay some really solid groundwork for stability and sustainability in the next 100 years. It was out of this idea that the Centennial Legacy Campaign was born. In creating the campaign, we talked with many folks across the church about what would be the most helpful. And having spent time listening and learning, it became clear that the best way to go about this is to focus on engaging and accompanying congregations and communities of faith so that they can speak with their members about making gifts in their wills. And based on those conversations, we set a goal of 25 million across the church for all ministry purposes. Congregations, which will receive the bulk of the gifts, mission and service, the foundation, and other ministries closest to people's hearts. We recognize that talking about money and talking about money in the church can be a difficult thing. It can be uncomfortable. And we also acknowledge that many communities of faith don't want to take on any programs that could compromise current givings. So we've been careful to design the campaign and all the resources around it to make this as easy as possible. And the thing to remember is that legacy giving doesn't require any money now. That's why it's sometimes referred to as planned giving, because it's planned for the future. And often when people think about what the church means to them as part of the process of making a legacy gift, it can result in increased current giving because they're thinking deeply about what the church means to them. And if a congregation does even a little bit of work on this and has one conversation that results in somebody adding the congregation as a beneficiary in their will, that's additional funding the congregation wouldn't have had otherwise. As an aside, our full communion partner, the Christian Church, also known as the Disciples, has a wonderful goal. And I think we could have it too. The goal for them is to be surprised when someone does not leave a congregation in their will, as opposed to being surprised when somebody does leave the congregation in their will. And so in terms of the campaign, 25 million is a completely attainable goal. The campaign is running through this year and next year and will wrap up by June 2027. We currently have over 7 million committed from individuals, families, and communities of faith. We also have several congregations who have already signed up and are working with our campaign team to engage their congregation in creating legacy plans. The early adopters have also been advising us on what resources they need most, so we have a really good idea of how to make this work well. And we're looking for more congregations to join. You might say, my congregation is already doing this, and that's wonderful and amazing. And we'd invite you to participate as well, perhaps not by doing anything additional. Maybe some of the resources are helpful, maybe they're not, but so that we could celebrate alongside you with any gifts that are created over this year and next, and have them be acknowledged across the whole church as part of the campaign and that hope for the future. So we've created what we think is a really flexible program that can be scaled to whatever works for particular congregations. For starters, we have a dedicated website that has 3 sections. One for individuals who want to create legacy gifts, one for congregations that are curious but not yet sure if they want to join, and one for congregations that are in. And so you may be curious and wondering what kind of commitment joining the campaign requires. And as I've mentioned a few times now, we are trying to make this as easy as possible for you. What we suggest is that you have 2, more if you like, people to run the campaign team. One person works too, but having 2 people just lightens the load. The campaign team would do some training, which is tailored and at a time most convenient for you. And the training is done by our very competent and enthusiastic and encouraging volunteer support lead, Tamara. And because the training's pretty much one-on-one, she's able to focus on what's going to make the most difference for your congregation. In addition to sessions with Tamara, we have support forums for congregations who are at similar phases of their campaigns. You can get additional assistance and connect with others to hear what's working in their context. We also have training videos, a number of short videos on different topics about the campaign. I almost feel at this point like I should say, but wait, that's not all. We also have resources that can be downloaded or sent to people by email or printed. We do have much of these printed, and so if you would like copies, we'd be happy to send you some, regardless of whether or not you're joining the campaign. And we will have webinars on a regular basis to help folks with the things that they need help with. And so what I want to say about legacy giving in general is that while it can feel intimidating, at its core, it's actually fairly simple. In participating in the campaign or offering a plan giving program in your congregation, you're giving people the opportunity to ensure that a liberal, welcoming Christian presence continues far into the future. The world needs us. It always has, and it always will. And this campaign is our opportunity to put our faith into action and provide for the future of the church in the same way that those folks who created those 500 funds we have now made that choice and took that step. Many of the donors I talk to tell me stories of how their parents would sit at the table to pay bills, write check after check each week. And an important part of that was also putting a check or money in the offering envelope for church. And that's a very visible way of passing down knowledge and values and the importance of giving. And today in our digital world, it's a little bit harder to demonstrate that on a regular basis. And I'm not saying that we shouldn't make donations electronically. It's pretty much the only way I do. But I'm simply highlighting the fact that we not only do we need to give financially for current and future ministry of our church, we need to talk about it. We need to pass that knowledge on that we have made a gift, that we've made a gift in our will, and we need to talk about the why. Why a ministry is meaningful to us. Why we would give when we don't know the future. And we need to talk about how those gifts in our wills are a sign of hope and a sign of our faith put into action. We don't know what the future holds, but we do know that the world will continue to need us, need our faith, need a welcoming, inclusive Christian presence in whatever God's church may look like in the future. A gift planned now and made in the future is a big statement. It says, I believe, and I want to ensure that there is always space for learning and growing closer to God for my children, for my grandchildren, for generations to come. Legacy gifts are gifts of faith that are incredible, not because of an amount given, large or small, but because of what it means. It's a testament to faith, to hope, and to love of the people who have created them. When you offer the people in your congregation and faith community the opportunity to make that statement, you're offering them something incredibly valuable, to feel the conviction of their faith, their desire to see the church carry on. It is so, so powerful. And we're going to make that as easy as possible. And so I encourage you, this is your special personal invitation to join the campaign to help create a solid future for your congregation, your community of faith, and for the church. Even if you confirm just one gift, and that gift is one you didn't have before, can make a difference in the life and ministry of the congregation when it arrives. So please do make your own gift or sign on with the existing work your congregation does, or bring your congregation on board so it can benefit from legacy gifts. We are here to help and would love to hear from you. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Sarah. Thank you for sharing about this opportunity, and I hope everyone feels encouraged. Again, all these resources will be shared in our follow-up email as well. So next, I'm very excited to introduce our next speaker, Reverend Dr. Alan Lai, to speak about his role and experience as a photographer for the A Place at the Table photo, the reimagining of Da Vinci's Last Supper. Alan Lai has guided the formation of ministry personnel with his teaching at both Waterloo Lutheran Seminary and Vancouver School of Theology, and was recently in leadership at South Arm United Church in Richmond, BC. He is a former principal of the Center of Christian Studies. Alan has a keen interest in interfaith dialogue and global citizenship. He's a foundation board director and currently serves as minister at Tai Kong United Church. Thanks, Alan, for being here with us today. And without further ado, I shall pass things on to you. Thank you.
Thank you. It's my pleasure to be here with you. Hello, everybody. I am deeply honored that the church asked me to be the photographer for this photograph. And by now, everybody have seen it. So in the next few minutes, I just want to share a little bit of background and information. So the site was in Loon Lake in British Columbia. And we talked about that for a while. And the disciples, I didn't knew who they were until maybe this previous week on paper. And so we never discussed what to do, what to wear, that kind of thing. We trust that they will bring wonderful pieces and culture with them, and they'll be arriving at the scene. It'll be wonderful. So it's a beautiful experience, and for those were there, can sense the energy and the commitment and the joy of able to create something beautiful. So just tell you a little bit of background, and then we can go from there. And you may see the first photograph where Ashley could help me with that. This is can you see that for the several months that we've been thinking about doing this photograph, and we will be doing that in February in British Columbia. All along, we are talking about an indoor shot, and you can see what we were thinking. What do you think now if you see that background? That's what we were, because it's difficult to imagine what the weather will be like in February and on a high mountain in British Columbia. So all along, we were thinking about setting up a backdrop and then have people, sitting in front. If that is the case that the next picture will show you what that might look like. That is when people were just, preparing their sitting position, things like that. So, but then when we were on the site, we walked around, especially myself, Rhonda, and some other folks, and we spot that the outdoor was just beautiful, and we anticipated that would be a much more inviting and provocative than just sitting indoor with that kind of background. But so the next picture show you what we have seen. Of course, that's decision has been made. Those people are setting up. That's what we are seeing up on the high mountain and a lake. We see the dog, and we imagine that will be a fantastic shot. And the weather was beautiful. But then we have concerns, because we have 12 disciples plus people doing like stuff on that. And we wonder, can the dog hold everybody? And I have a concern. So what I have done was, when people were like the previous photograph where you see people were preparing, I gave them a 5-minute sermon. There's no such thing, to tell them what we are imagining, what we are seeing, and see if anybody have any concerns or safety issue. And none of them have, and said, we will do it. And that was a fantastic community building, community decision-making time. And I am forever grateful for that, those people thinking it is doable, it is safe. And so you see people were setting up and moved tables and chairs and everything. The next photographs, you will see even our executive minister was very helpful in holding the light. It is heavy. I do not know, people who knows photography knows the C stand itself is really heavy. Never mind the light on top. So she, of course, down there we have rocks and sandbag to hold everything. She was there to make sure that it will not fall into the water. And the rest is just history. And I can tell you, this group of people has a lot of energy. And we just don't just come in and, dress up and then sit down and take the photos. We have 2.5 days together on this beautiful location. And of course, Jennifer Jensen-Bohr and, Alchris were helping us, prepare us. So the next picture showed that the community building process and time was marvelous and beautiful. We have devotion time together, we sing and we participate. We have Holy Communion together to appreciate and understand one another. It's a beautiful picture that we envisioned that it could be. And so the next one, again, showing you a little bit of it's a final, group photos where we have a pictures that we know are the people involved in this beautiful project. So I can tell you that it is there was a spirit of joy. It's very positive. And in one picture, without saying a word, to say to the people what the United Church of Canada is like today and how we envision the future could be. We hope that these pictures will tell you something about who we are and where we want to be, to foster a sense of welcoming and diversity community. So for me, who were invited and other folks, I think we are really grateful. And I hope this picture can be a piece to guide our imagination for the next 100 years or just a little while, to enable us to see how much we could do, more we could do to foster a church that is truly welcoming, inclusive, and honoring the diversity and the faith commitments of these individuals. So this is my story. I am very grateful and to share this a little bit of background information to you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Alan. That was great. Thank you for taking us a little bit behind the scenes on that really amazing, inspiring photograph that everyone's been loving. Um, so last but certainly not least, connecting to a Place at the Table project, we have Cam Fraser here to talk about the 100 Tables initiatives. So Cam Fraser never imagined himself in a denominational role, yet here he is since summer 2023, serving as a Director of Growth and Ministry Development within the General Council offices, a role he engages remotely from his home in the Cathedral neighborhood of Regina, Saskatchewan, on Treaty 4 territory and the homeland of the Métis. He came to this role after 14 years of congregational ministry, first in Milton, Ontario, and then in Regina. Through years, these years included church planting, fresh expressions, community outreach, public witness, and job sharing with two United Church summer camps. Cam was drawn to this role's focus on the future and commitment to the local church as a main site of partnering with God in the work of being Jesus's beloved community. He loves to approach ministry with curiosity, centering the relationship and conversation, and always making space for the whimsy. Thank you so much, Cam, for being here with us today. And I will throw things to you to learn more about the 100 Tables initiative. Thank you so much.
Well, thanks so much, friends. It is a delight to be with you all. Hopefully, my audio and screen sharing is coming through now. Otherwise, please watch my mouth move for the next 7 or 8 minutes and trust that beautiful, insightful things are being said. It is a great delight to be in this role, which I couldn't have imagined, and it has been a lovely extension of the ministry that I've been privileged to hold within the United Church of Canada. So it's a privilege to be with you folks. In my role as the Director of Growth and Ministry Development, there are two things that I often find myself quoting from repeatedly. The first comes from a song of faith. We sing of a church seeking to continue the story of Jesus by embodying Christ's presence in the world, loving what he loved, living what he taught, striving to be faithful servants of God in our time and place. And the second thing I find myself quoting often is from the strategic plan, which may seem like a less heart-moving, compelling thing to quote from, but I think this quote stands up pretty well. And this describes the strategic priority, strengthening invitation, humility and confidence in sharing faith, which we shorthand as growth. If personally and communally, we experience the good news of God's grace as liberation and healing, a life-giving invitation to beloved community, then the instinct to share our stories with seekers is more than appropriate. And yet the congregations and other ministries across the United Church with a strong belief in Christ's transformation report lacking the confidence to share faith and build community with their neighborhoods. So we have this story, a story which we have found liberating and healing, a story that gives us life. And we seek to continue that story, embodying it in the places where we call home, where we live and where we love, where we work and where we worship. And also, we sometimes struggle to share that story. In a place at the table, which Alan shared with us about, and thank you for the behind the scenes glimpse into the creation. In the place at the table, the United Church of Canada reached into the very center of our tradition, where, to once again quote from a song of faith, we carry a vision of creation healed and restored. And so we welcome all in the name of Jesus to a table where none shall go hungry, where we gather as Christ's guests and friends. In this photo, we spoke in a big way on a big stage about a table that we love, a table that we believe matters to our world. As Sarah mentioned, that has always mattered and perhaps matters even more in this time we find ourselves. And in 100 tables, we continue to speak about table, but this time we speak locally in 100 different ways, in 100 diverse contexts, 100 ways to articulate what it means to find a place at Jesus' table and to extend an invitation and to share that story. This is the table, and there is a table underneath all those fabulous smiling people. This is the table that you'll find at Hillside United Church in Halifax, Nova Scotia, who are incidentally a thrilled Centennial grant recipient, by the way. They unveiled their table on Sunday. This is what it looks like with the table and with the chairs. This is another table. This is a table that you'll find in front of Metropolitan United Church in Toronto. And on Sunday, they held what they called Canada's largest potluck. Well, in terms of scope, this is a little bit of an outlier in terms of the other tables that we'll see. And in the coming weeks, throughout the summer and into the fall, more tables will be revealed. And each table will seek to tell the story of Jesus' table as that community knows it, as they tell it for themselves and embody themselves in their community of faith. And they'll seek to tell it into the particularities of their neighborhood, into the particular things that are happening on the streets that they call home, in the places that they live. It's important to me when I offer up a bio to name the neighborhood I'm a part of, because when I think of my call to be a disciple of Jesus, I think that that call matters on the particular streets that I walk my kids to and from school, the particular streets that I walk to the grocery store, the particular places right around me. The first round of participants for 100 tables were identified by the growth animators serving in their region, talking to regional staff about where there might be communities that would have a longing to speak out into their neighborhood in this way. And there's now an open invitation for other communities to become part of this project by emailing us at the website. And I think that's going to be in the material that is sent to you after this time. We have 74 communities who are confirmed right now, and more are discerning their involvement. And we're going to see more tables roll out over the course of June, July, August, and into the early months of the fall. Each community that's participating receives a gift card from Rona to purchase a table, just a plain, ordinary table, that common starting space. They get a toolkit full of resources that help them plan. There's theological reflections and biblical study, and some tools to help them reflect on their neighborhood. What are its unique needs? What are its unique possibilities? And all of this, we hope, will strengthen each community and their confidence to articulate the story of their faith in ways that may more deeply connect to what is happening in the lives of the people amongst whom God has placed them. In the current work of our public outreach, both the place at the table picture that we've seen in this campaign, we've been working with a company called Media Profile, who is helping us bring a level of capacity beyond ourselves. And for this project, Media Profiles provided training and support so that communities can reach out to whatever local media may be in their area to tell the story of their table. And through that, the story of their community, and through that, the story of Jesus's table, and that invitation we embody. And they're playing a coordinating role. In addition to supporting local communities, they're looking for, are there particular stories that we could lift up to receive perhaps national attention? One of the really neat things that they've helped us do is root this project in some research. And they helped us conduct a national research on 3 questions. What are Canadians' perception of faith and religion in 2025? What are Canadians' perceptions of churches generally in the United Church specifically? And which facts and subjects are likely to engage Canadians' interest in the United Church. And over the coming months, we're going to figure out a way to package those responses in ways that are accessible for the whole church to ponder. But some of the key messages have become part of the equipping that communities participating in 100 tables have received. These are two ways that they have offered to articulate things. Joy is resistance. In a world marked by division and despair, we offer joy as a radical act of hope. Joy not as an escape, but joy as a declaration that love reigns. And community is healing. We gather not just to worship, but to heal. In community, we find strength, solidarity, and the presence of Christ among us. And so tables, 100 tables, are being set outside 100 buildings in different places. And there's events or experiences being organized in which those who are walking by, are passing by, are invited to pause and engage. Now, the project is just launching, so most are in the process of developing. But if you follow the website, which is going to come to you in the after materials, you're going to get to see that map that I showed you earlier. And each dot on that map is going to take you to a picture of the table and what they're all about. There's diverse themes that people are centering. Being tables, many will not be surprised that food or food security and food justice features centrally, but also ecological concern, the well-being of the planet, speaking out against transphobia and anti-queer sentiment, reconciliation, building right relationships, and also loneliness and connectivity. And while we invited diverse interpretations and diverse dreamings of what could be, we did offer one absolute. Thou shalt not use thine table simply to hold brochures about thine programming. We don't want to answer the question, what are your programming offerings and volunteer opportunities? What are your community's particular convictions about a social issue? We want to get people to taste and see and to imagine what it means for them to be a part of this table. Whether that means just how they feel and what they experience in those few minutes when they're passing by and interacting, or maybe it helps them know about this building that has been in their neighborhood. The church that I worship in just around the corner held a celebration for the Centennial on Tuesday evening out front. And we talked to someone who has lived in the neighborhood for 30 years but has never stepped inside. And the doors were open, the organ was playing, there was cupcakes, there was face painting. So for the first time in 30 years, he walked inside and now knows a little bit more about the people in his neighborhood. And so maybe that's one of the things that will happen. People will know who is in their neighborhood and who might be there if they ever find themselves in a time of need. Or perhaps they will be intrigued and want to engage in worship, programming, or community. Or, and with my passion for the church being about public witness, I wonder one of the things might happen is that people's minds might be open by what they learn at these tables about to think about their neighborhood and their neighbors in new ways, to be more open in finding their place in the family of all things. I love to quote from a song of faith. You may have noticed this. In and with God, we direct ourselves towards right relationships with one another and with God. We discover our place as one strand in the web of life. We can grow in wisdom and compassion. We can recognize all people as kin. We can accept our mortality and finitude not as a curse, but as a challenge to make our lives and choices matter. I wonder if these are some of the things that people will experience interacting with these 100 tables. I was asked to think about the impact of this project. And much of that is going to unfold across the country in the coming months, and we'll see what happens. How will interactions with these table influence and benefit the neighborhoods that they are found in? How will they change the relationship that people in their communities will have with their local congregations? But even now, even today, 74 communities of faith are receiving support and accompaniment to address one of the things that we have said as a denomination is our leading strategic priority: to develop humility and confidence, to share their faith, and to build community with their neighbors. Because carrying a vision of creation healed and restored, we welcome all in the name of Jesus invited to a table where none shall go hungry, and we gather as Christ's guests and friends. So thanks for learning more about the tables, and watch the website to see how the table is set in places near you. And if you're thinking, we got some creative people who love this story, we'd like to be involved. We'd love to hear you and help.
Apologies, I had a technical issue, but thank you so much, Cam. That was really fantastic and really, really inspiring. And we're also excited to see what's on the horizon as more and more tables get unveiled. So thank you so much for that. With that, we move on to our Q&A portion. Please submit your questions through the Q&A function found at the bottom toolbar. And as they come in, I can read them out loud. Um, for now. And if not, that's okay too. Also, we welcome any questions or comments to our email at foundationfdn@united-church.ca if you have comments you want to pass along through there. I'll give it a few minutes. Oh, so Marjorie asks how she can find out more about the 100 Tables campaign.
Yeah, I believe, yeah, happy to. Yeah, Marjorie, we would love to help you learn more if you're thinking about how your community perhaps might be involved. So I think Ashley, will the follow-up email be going today to participants, or is that in the coming days?
It's usually in the coming days.
So one of the things that you'll receive is a website, the landing page for 100 tables on the United Church's website. That's going to have some information about the tables that are currently being offered, and it's linked to a place of the table, the broader campaign. And one of the things that's in there is an email address, 100 tables at united-church.ca. And that's an email address that you can reach out to if your community is interested in participating. And then staff can follow up with you, help you learn a little bit more about what would be involved in participation. Fabulous folks like Alan Lai, who is on the call here, our growth animator for Canadian Shield and Shining Waters, and Alexandra, one of our staff who is on here as well, will probably be your first point of contact. And they can talk you through what's involved. And then if it sounds like something that your community of faith is interested in participating in, we can send you a toolkit and the support to receive a table as well, and help you walk with you as you prepare to extend your invitation to the table into your neighborhood.
Thank you, Cam. There are a lot of questions about the 100 Tables campaign, or a lot of excitement about it. Someone asked if there's a limit to the 100 Table campaign.
Well, our goal is 100. And we're going to be working towards that. And if we find more, we're excited to see where we go. Our intention is that this campaign is going to take us through into the fall. And our intention is at some point to take the participant toolkit and just turn that into an open source resource. So when our campaign has finished, if communities are like, hey, you know what, this is a busy time for us, we've got lots of other things going on, now is not the right time, you're going to be able to find that resource next summer to set up a table that would work for you. And so we hope that we hope that it is something that would benefit communities moving forward.
That's awesome. Someone asked about sharing this webinar recording. Absolutely. Please share this webinar with your communities, with your committees, and whoever you think would be interested in learning more about these initiatives. You're very welcome to do that. We have a question about the Legacy campaign. Are the resources for the Legacy campaign free?
Yes, yes, they are. And they are at centennialcampaign.ca. You'll get the link in the follow-up, but absolutely free. Yep.
Someone asked about the end date for the campaign. Um, I guess for either, for but yeah, what is the end date for people to get involved?
I don't want to speak out of turn for the 100 tables, but I'm pretty sure that whenever people are ready to be involved, that's great. If it goes beyond this year, next year, 5 years from now, that would still be excellent. It's all good work that we'll need to carry on.
Someone asked about the Last Supper photo, a place at the table. How can they access that photo to use in a bulletin?
I think it is a good question, and I'm afraid that I don't know the answer. I think that should be directed to Rhonda. I think Rhonda is our communication director. Now, that photograph, I took it, but now it's the property of the United Church. I cannot just give it to you. So contact Rhonda. I think can her information be shared, like direct to people so that if they think they want, I also believe that the communication department is thinking about a variety of ways for people to get a hold of that photograph in different forms. So maybe stay tuned.
Mhm.
That sounds good.
Yeah,
I can absolutely connect with Rhonda and have an answer in the follow-up as well. Sorry, Sarah, I interrupted you.
I was just going to say we could put it in the follow-up.
It's a very excited follow-up. So, Alan, there's a question for you about your favorite response of the photo you took.
Oh wow! Of course, I'm very grateful to say the least that it is a very positive experience for me, and the people respond very well. Um, I just think of one response that you see the photo. The people were actually sitting uh, on the table on the dog. The background is real. I received, I think that the individual thinking that I took the shot and do kind of editing, like the background editing, so that I can put whatever background I like to be at the back. And I thought, no, it was real. It was a lot of issue I've been thinking about, like safety issue that I was talking about. So, but it was interesting that people thought that it was the result of editing. It was not. The whole thing was real, and I was very grateful for the individuals willing to go. You need to be there to feel the excitement and joy and energy. It was really a positive experience looking at this group of people. Of course, the final part that was speaking, everybody was kind of static, like doing this or that. But there was a lot of talk, a lot of movement, a lot of funny moments that was captured. It's really great.
That's awesome. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. A few more questions about the 100 tables. One is asking, maybe in places where Rona isn't around, who is providing the table?
Yep. When participants confirm their participation, one of the questions that you're asked is what address can we send a gift card to? And there's also an option that says, due to geographic constraints, a gift card to Rona wouldn't work. And then a member of the staff team supporting this project reaches out to you directly and looks at an alternative.
That's awesome. Another question asked about it is, how about people who aren't using tables and how may they be accommodated?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I typed some of this into the question and answer as well. But if the ideas of this project sound great, but that the particularities of a table doesn't suit, the resources that have been developed to help a community think deeply about themselves, deeply about the story that they carry, and about the needs of their neighborhood are absolutely applicable in other ways. And a great way to do that would be to reach out to the growth animator who's deployed to your region, who'd be happy to talk with you about perhaps there is a different act of public witness. At its core, 100 Tables is using an artifact to speak our beloved story and the story that you carry within your hearts as a community into the context of your neighborhood. And that can be done in a number of different ways. There's probably more than 100.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you, Cam. We have 10 minutes remaining, so please, if you have questions, don't be shy. Please feel free to type them in. Maybe something I can ask you guys while I have you as a panel. Um, what do you think is your biggest hope out of these initiatives? That they have like really big dreams and things attached to them. So I'm wondering, maybe personally, what your biggest hope to see in them is.
I can start. I think um, the big dream for me is a vibrant, sustainable community of faith across the country. So, and when I say community of faith across the country, I mean the church made up of individual congregations, communities of faith that are energized, that are um, doing that public witness, and that are inviting participation and care and concern for the future.
You, Sarah.
My response, my dream is also coming out of making that photograph. Like the original plan, the original plan was not pretty much exciting, but it is the process of making that decision. I was really um, uh, encouraged by the flexibility of the group. I think that says something about the spirit of this group, but also the spirit of this church, that we are willing to take risk. Sitting inside, having a nice, covered and is safe, but the end product might not be very artistically or provocatively anything. By willing to take risk, it is very, very uplifting experience, and 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 we're willing to change the last minute. All along we're talking for months, setting up the background and everything in that shot, and everybody will accuse me of what a boring photographer that I could be. But this is a communal decision making, willing to take risk. It says a lot of things to me about the nature of the church. And I think that can carry us onward to the next 100 years, not top down, but communal, willing to take risk.
Thank you, Alan. That's
Yeah,
great.
and I might add, I quoted from the strategic plan about the line that says communities who hold this story deeply and treasure to themselves report lacking confidence to share it with their neighbors. I hope that 100 tables and that these other initiatives um, are part of what will allow us to one day say communities of the United Church of Canada report that sharing their story and building community with their neighbors is one of their deepest joys of being church, and that they seek to find creative ways that make sense in their neighborhoods to do so, and that their neighbors know them for it and appreciate it.
Thank you, Kim. That's a super lovely sentiment. Um, okay, we have a question about the gifts. Someone asks, will people be able to choose how the gift for the campaign is used, or is there a designated split that is already in place?
There is not a designated split, so it is completely up to the person making the gift how they want to have that gift used. If they want all of it to go to their congregation, that is wonderful and great. If they want some of it to go to their congregation and a local outreach ministry and maybe mission and service or the foundation, that's excellent as well. But it really is up to the person who's making the gift to say how they want that used.
Thank you, Sarah. Okay. I'll give it maybe a minute if there's any last minute questions. But if not, there has been so much shared today that I know I'm inspired by and has been really wonderful to hear about how the church is coming together and imagining the future of the church as well. So thank you, everybody. Thank you, everyone, for coming today and sharing your time with us. Thank you to our fantastic group of speakers for sharing more insights about the different initiatives happening in the church. It's so awesome to hear about that. A quick reminder that this is being recorded and all the resources that we talked about will be shared, as well as the webinar recording in the follow-up email. And so thank you again for spending some time with us. We really hope you enjoyed the special webinar, and we hope to see you again at a future one. So bye for now.
Bye, everybody. Thank you.